Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at the best dexterity and strength build by Pastor Gaines Games.
We are going to be using the Omen Cleaver. This is one of the best curved greatswords in the entire game, and it has a great advantage because it's the second longest, and you can farm it incredibly early within Stormville Castle, pretty much allowing yourself to get through the entire game with a really good weapon.
Okay, so the first problem here, the Omen Cleaver isn't the best, or even one of the best curved greatswords in PvE, PvP as well. The Bloodhound Spang, the Beastman Cleaver, or the Magma Worm Scale Sword are going to be the best options for PvE as far as curved greatswords go. Omen Cleaver is also not the second longest, that would be the Dismounter. And then Bloodhound Spang is also longer than the Omen Cleaver. You can get Bloodhound Spang earlier than the Omen Cleaver because the Omen Cleaver is locked behind Margit. The Bloodhound Spang is accessible as soon as you get to the first step. You just need to kill Bloodhound Knight Darwell.
The first is going to be the Rottenwing Sword Insignia, and this is going to greatly increase the attack power of our successive attacks. So how the Rottenwing Sword Insignia works is it's going to give you attack power boost based on how many attacks you hit in a row. There's three different tiers. The first is 6%, 8%, and then 13%. For Talisman slot number 2, we have the Erdtree's Favor +1, just a quality of life talisman that I put together with this build. You can swap this one out for, let's say, a Stamina Talisman or Millicent's Prosthesis in general if you want to stack that on top of Rottenwing Sword Insignia. For Talisman number 3, we do have the Shard of Alexander. This is going to greatly boost the attack power of our skills, so it's going to make our Sword Dance Ash of War hit for 15% more than it typically would. Finally, we have the Axe Talisman. As stated before, the charged heavy R2s with this weapon can be a little finicky, but if you can make them connect, they're going to do a lot of damage. So this is going to enhance your charge attacks by 10%, so those heavy charged R2s are going to hit a little bit harder. The fact that we are wearing the Okina mask, which is going to give us +2 dexterity. We're also going to be using the scale armor, the scaled gauntlets, and the scaled greaves, and this is going to wrap us up in a nice package of 51 poise, allowing us not to get knocked about as much as we typically would.
His talisman setup is fine. It's not great. Obviously, using Erdtree's Favor instead of something like Millicent's isn't really that ideal, as well as using the Axe Talisman since the Omen Cleaver R2 isn't even that good, but he also said that in the video. His armor isn't optimal, obviously. If it's for fashion, it's fine, since he does reach that 51 poise breakpoint. Now, his stats, which he doesn't explain throughout the video, and I actually watched the video multiple times just to be sure, is just a little 5-second thing at the end of the video. Being at level 150 and not having 60 vigor is a bad start. Having 20 mind on a physical melee build is also a bad thing. You could get away with base mind, really, and still be completely fine. Having that 20 mind doesn't actually impact the gameplay that much. For strength and dexterity, having more dexterity over strength is actually counterintuitive here, because you would want more strength over dexterity due to the two-hand bonus benefiting the quality infusion more. There's really no point to getting 70 dexterity and 40 strength. You would be much better off getting something like 54 strength to get to that two-hand soft gap, and then putting the rest of your dexterity. So for my improved build, we have 60 vigor because that is the vigor soft cap. We have 31 endurance to have enough equip load to get to 51 poise without fat rolling. We have 48 strength and 60 dexterity because that is the optimal stat allocation for the Bloodhound Spang. Now if you're going to two-hand, you would want a little bit more strength, a little bit less dexterity, but since we're going to power stance them because that provides the most DPS, we're going to have the 48 strength and 60 split. For the armor, we have the Crucible Tree Helm, the Raptor's Black Feathers, the Gotska Noble's Bracelets, and the Tree Sentinel's Greaves, giving us 51.99 poise. And the Raptor's Black Feathers is also going to boost our jumping attack damage. For the talismans, we have the Millicent's Prosthesis, the Rottenwing Sword Insignia, the Claw Talisman, and the Twin Blade Talisman. Millicent's Prosthesis and Rottenwing Sword Insignia are going to boost our multi-hit attack damage. The Claw Talisman is going to boost our jumping attacks, along with the Raptor's Black Feathers, And then the Twin Blade Talisman is going to boost our final attack chain damage. So what that means is, if we start with a jumping attack, we should proc Millicent's Prosthesis and Rotten Wing Sword Insignia in that second L1 attack, and that final attack chain is going to be completely boosted by Millicent's Prosthesis and Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, as well as boosted 45% by the Twin Blade Talisman. This is going to have us do really good damage throughout the entire combo. And of course, since the jumping attack and the final attack of an L1 chain has a higher damage level, we can stagger bosses like Melania. For the Great Rune, I have Morgoth's Great Rune, giving me vastly more HP. And for the Crystal tier, I have Applying Heart tier and Thorny Crack tier, providing more multi-hit damage increases and having more damage negation.